I want to explain to you why and why I'm so delighted that Reince Priebus is coming to engage in a conversation with me and with you about what happened. Contrary to what a lot of people push out on emails and the internet and stuff, you know, the RNC had nothing to do with the Mississippi situation. All of us are mad as hell about it. It was the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which is a completely separate organization. And I think a lot of times the RNC gets blasted for things that aren't their fault because we think of this corporate entity flow chart with the RNC here and the NRSC, the RGA, the NRSC, and state groups here and local activists here, and that's not actually the way it works. And I asked Reince if he would come to the RedState gathering. He came last year to the RedState gathering. He came the year before. And I'm telling you, as a guy who blows up Republicans regularly, that I consider Reince Priebus a friend. And I have supported his chairmanship at the Republican National Committee twice. And if he ever decided he wanted to run again, I would support him a third time because he's the best damn Republican National Committee chairman I've seen since I started RedState 10 years ago. He's phenomenal. And I have dealt with RNC chairmen even before I started RedState, and I have never seen an RNC chairman who is as in touch with the grassroots movement, who understands your anger, who understands your frustration, who behind the scenes works to make sure your voices are heard, and who at the national level has done a very good job of mitigating and fixing a lot of the problems we've seen in 2012. I don't know whose idea it was, and it wasn't his. I don't know whose idea it was to get MSNBC to do a presidential debate where for an hour and a half we could be subjected to these weird questions from Democrats. And he has worked these last few years to fix that. And contrary to some of the media ginned up controversy about what the RNC wants to do for 2016, I can tell you I was consulted regularly. All of the people who have even the chance of being candidates were consulted regularly. The grassroots were consulted regularly. And I can't sit through a 2016 debate and hear Rachel Maddow ask a Republican candidate about global warming. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. And so God bless Reince for tackling the problem and getting it fixed. And I'll tell you again, in my years in conservative politics, I've been doing it since 1993, he's the best damn Republican National Committee chairman I've ever encountered. I enjoy his company. I really think he understands the conservative movement better than most because he got to start there. And he wanted to come, he asked to come, and I'm delighted he's going to speak for a few minutes. And really, he's doing me a favor because I got to go to the little boys' room. And then we're going to have a conversation. So, Reince Priebus.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, God bless you. Thank you very much for being here. Look, I am not just a fan of RedState, but I'm a contributor too. And so I really appreciate Eric, the passion, the drive. This isn't an accident that we're here together. I don't believe that God works in accidents. I think this is here for a reason. Eric's been in my life for a reason, and we have an opportunity together, I think, to reestablish what we're all fighting for in this country, which isn't about the Republican Party. It's about the country that we love, about our Constitution, about freedom, about the natural rights that we were given and that we want to preserve. You know, it is true. There was a time when I started thinking about when people would say, you know, the Republican establishment. I thought, you know, who is that? And then I thought, you know, Lord help us if the establishment is a guy named Reince Priebus from Kenosha, Wisconsin. You may wonder, how in the world do you get a name like Reince Priebus? Well, it's what happens when a Greek and a German get married. It's kind of like a cultural disaster. But I will tell you, I named our kids Jack and Grace. So I tell people, some family traditions are worth killing off, and the name Reince is definitely one of them. Look, I think that there's so much at stake here. Someone's asking me beforehand, you know, what's this all about? I told you I've got a little guy named Jack, and he's 9 years old. How many of you have been to the World War II Memorial here? All right. Well, I think you'd agree with me that the World War II Memorial, you get out of it what you're willing to put into it, right? So Jack's a good little reader. We walk around all the monuments. Listen, look at all those great quotes from Nimitz and Eisenhower and all of those heroes from that time. And then with my little guy, we went up to that place on the wall with those 4,000 golden stars. You know what I'm talking about? And you start to figure it out. That for every one of those golden stars, 100 little guys, just like Jack, obviously a little bit older, but 100 little guys didn't come home to mom and dad. And then in front of those golden stars, on the black granite, it says, "Here we mark the price of freedom." We're in the battle for freedom in this country. The same battle that founded our country. It's the same battle that James Madison reaffirmed in the Bill of Rights. It's the same battle that founded our party. And here we are today with a president that doesn't respect the Constitution, doesn't respect the Bill of Rights, and we have to do something about it. People used to ask me all the time, I was the chairman of the state of Wisconsin a few years ago, the Republican Party. And people used to say, what does this party need? What does this party need? And I say, you know, it's really simple. We need people of their word who make a promise and then go govern like they campaigned. It's really simple. Make a promise and then go govern like you campaigned. Be who you said you were. If you wonder why my buddy Scott Walker is so popular, because he did something really simple. He made a simple promise, and he kept it. I mean, what a novel idea. That you would make a promise, you would get elected, and then you'd go govern like you campaign. Here's the problem. We have a tale of two parties. We got a midterm party that doesn't lose, and we got a presidential party that doesn't win. And people ask me, you know, what is it that we're doing at the RNC? What do you want to talk about? What do I want you to go away with today? If there was one theme I want you to have when you leave or you go see someone tonight or you go to the reception, say, what did he talk about? What I'm trying to do at the RNC, I'm desperately trying to make the RNC obsessed with the job that a national party ought to be doing. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's the obsession with the mechanics of what a national party has to do. We're the party that has to pay for a ground game, the data, get our primary system under control. So here's what we're doing. We're putting out a permanent 4-year ground operation in every presidential state across America, starting last year, 18 months ago. We have become a national party that has decided that it's okay to just show up once every 4 years, 5 months before an election. We became an RNC, a national party. That's just a U-Haul trailer of cash for a presidential nominee. That is a losing strategy. Now, here's what the other side does. You know what they do? Before 2012, 4 years ago, they handed their volunteers 10 people every 10 blocks, paid, not volunteers, excuse me, 10 people every 10 blocks paid. Here's a list of 800 names. Here are the people that vote. Here are the people that don't vote. Here are the people that will vote if you get to them. But you're going to get to know these people. And we're not going to sit around and talk about fracking and clean coal either. We're going to have pizza parties. We're going to bring in a band. We're going to get to know these people. And after about 4 years of that, they're hitting us with bazookas all over the country. So 95% of my world is focusing in on things that most people would think are pretty boring. But they're the things that a national party and somebody has to raise the money and pay for, that whoever wins the primary has access to all of that power on the ground and the data. The U.S. Senate races, the House races, the governor's races, outside of those campaigns in those states, you know what entity in America transfers all of the money into those states to help pay for the ground game and all of the data and all of that stuff? It's the RNC every single month. We transfer it in. And by the way, we don't get involved in primaries. Not a single nickel. We have a rule that doesn't allow us to get involved in primaries. A $35 million digital and data upgrade. Somebody has to gather up that data. Somebody has to know the consumer data in a particular group. Somebody has to know that in this, let's just say hypothetically, when do you vote? When don't you vote? What do you buy? What don't you buy? What motivates you? What doesn't? What car do you drive? How many kids do you have? What's your income? All of that data. That's consumer data. I hate to tell you, it's all available and it's out there. Someone has to be able to mine that data. Somebody has to know that if I'm sending you an email or I'm sending you a solicitation, that I'm actually communicating to you in the way that best suits your particular interests. Well, someone has to know what that is. Somebody has to be able to develop the iPhone application so that when I'm going door to door and I'm looking at houses in a particular neighborhood, that when I'm knocking on a door, I can see, okay, this person's about a 90% supporter for us based on their consumer data, when they vote, when they don't vote, everything about them. I just want to make sure they get an absentee ballot. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this 90%. I'm going to make sure you get an absentee ballot. And then I'm going to track it every day at the municipal clerk's office to make sure that that ballot came in every single day, to see what absentee ballots came in, what absentee ballots didn't come in, and whose door I need to knock on to make sure they do before Election Day. This is the mundane but very important work that a national party has to do. We have to reclaim the history of our party. We're the party of equality and freedom and opportunity. It's the other side that has a shameful history, but you wouldn't know it because we don't talk about it. But we're going to. I think our primary system, as Eric said, was a total disaster. I mean, this idea of us destroying each other for months and months and months before an Iowa caucus that didn't award a single delegate is insane. And taking you guys know that some people had said, well, you know, Mitt Romney was a duck on a pond all summer. Well, did you know that if you have 2 buckets of money, you may not know this, but there are 2 buckets of money that candidates raise: primary money and general money, right? If you're out of primary money, you can't get the general money. Even if you have $200 million sitting in that bucket, you can't spend a nickel of it until you get nominated at the convention. So Mitt Romney was a duck on the pond. So when we talk about moving the convention from the end of August or September to the end of June or mid-July, I think that's using our brains, because we've got to allow our candidates to get that money sooner. And then, I got to tell you, this 23 debate traveling circus in our party, you know, we can't have 23 debates in our party. How many people think that's a good idea? Nobody does. But I think we should have a reasonable amount of debates, and we help pick the moderators this time, not the other way around. And if CNN and NBC want to run their Hillary Clinton documentaries, then they're not going to host a debate. It's that simple. You know, it's a ton of work, what we're talking about. I know that everyone in this room and all of us, just like all of our relationships in life, we can't agree with each other 100% of the time. However, what I'm trying to make the case to you is you have to have a national party that gets its act together when it comes to the mechanics when it comes to the ground game, when it comes to the data, and when it comes to having a primary system that protects our nominee and our party. This is 99% of my world every single day. I've got to raise about $8.5 million a month just to pay for what I just described to you every month. And it's going to be even more as every year passes by. And so, you know, Vince Lombardi used to say, I'm a Packer fan, by the way. Thank you. A couple fans. Vince Lombardi used to say, the only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. And it's the truth. It's the truth. I'm going to tell you one story about something that happened to me about 18 months ago, and I think about it every single day. I went in to visit a guy after the 2012 election. He's a really generous man, but a very opinionated, some would say slightly scary. I mean, we've all been in these positions in life, either business or relationships, where you're going to go in for a meeting and you know it's not going to be fun, but you got to walk in and do it. And so I walked into this meeting, and about a few minutes into it, and I started saying, well, here's what I think we should do. Here's how I think we can win. And lo and behold, just like clockwork, he said, stop, hang on, enough. Here's the deal. You're young, you're smart, and I know it's debatable, but he said it. He said, here's the deal. You're young, you're smart. If you want a job with me down the hallway, I promise you I'll hire you tomorrow. But if you're not going to be big and you're not going to be bold, then don't waste my time. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your kids' time or your wife's time. If you're not going to be big and bold, God put you here, then don't waste your time, just go home. And I haven't stopped thinking about that ever since. I want to make you guys proud of this party. I want to honor you. That's why I'm here, by the way. I'm here because I want to honor you. I'm here because I want you to be proud of the party. You've got to have a national party that gets the job done, a national party that understands its role, and a national party that's permanent, on the ground, all the time, and ready for action and battle. So God bless you. Thank you so much, and I'm ready to talk to Eric.